What is good, my Impact Wrestling fam? Welcome to another edition of TNAIW Reaction right here on the TNAIW channel. My name is Geoff, and I want to thank you for pressing play, hitting like and subscribe, and adding to the mantra of one fan at a time, one friend at a time. Really mean it, man. These past 4 years, guys, have been, I'll forever be grateful for you guys giving me this platform to shoot the shit on a company I love since June 19th, 2002. Helped me build camaraderie during COVID. And also help me build my confidence to talk in front of a camera about something I love, man. So I thank you guys for that. Got a lot of things I want to hit on an off week. Obviously, we're not going to be reviewing really an Access TV show per se, but we do have some things to talk about. First, I do want to mention a bigger, speaking of grateful, thank you for making episode 147, our Bound for Glory review of Lucha and I, a top 20 episode in our 4 years, so that's awesome. And the number one most liked video we've ever put out, which, hey, it might not seem like a lot, but in a time where we've dealt with some shit. We really appreciate all the camaraderie, all the comments, all the kindness through everything these past 4 years, and to be a drama or my health or whatever it is. I will never forget each and every one of you that reach out, including giving us comments, which we'll hit today. We'll hit Scott's Press Pass, I guess we'll call it, with Tom. We'll hit a lot of news and notes you could kind of see there. And as I was saying, we have a lot of comments from you guys, so I'm excited to get into those, including about the UK tour. As you could see there, we rolled out our beta version of the Cross the Line thing, but there's your sneak peek. There's our first one with Leon Slater. We'll be doing it for new signees. We're going to try to think for some people like PCO who re-signed, but Leon Slater getting the first one there. Look forward to more of those coming out soon, including on LOL TNA this coming week, our Halloween episode. Thank you to the people watching that. I know it's nonsense, complete nonsense, but I hope you're having a good time with it. This coming week is a Halloween one. It is the TNA name game. We're naming 5 free agents that have prior established names in WWE, from Edge, Dolph Ziggler, Big Show, Sasha, and Dean Ambrose. I know they have names now, but that's the game. And we're going to give them the TNA 2007 spin on it, 2009, somewhere on their names. Laugh along, see it, it's a good time, and then you get to see 5 cross the line when you guys help us pick the winners, the winning names. All right, guys, enough for plugs, but we don't have much coming out this week. Obviously, this not being an episode, so power rankings going to be preempted. They'll be back in the groove the following week, so look out for LOL TNA on Tuesday as being our next show before the next show of this. Yeah, so Impact on Access TV is going to be a review. How did you guys feel about that? We'll talk about it. Personally, I'm okay with it. Because I was starting to feel, I don't want to say resentment. I don't resent at all whatsoever. But as I review these shows and I put my ideas and my feedback and my reassurance out there into the world on Impact Creative's favorite podcast, I'm starting to feel like a good local stripper at like a really small dive, and a guy with a three-piece suit comes in, and he's sitting there during your song, and he's watching, he's licking his lips, and then as your song ends, he walks by you, winks, and just keeps on walking. Picking up what I'm putting down? That's what I'm feeling. I don't know are we there? I don't know, guys. Either way, Ross Foreman can answer his emails back at least. Shit, right? I don't know. I digress. But I am happy to not give feedback on that this week. We'll take a breather, we'll reassess, and we'll move on. But we'll hit up Scott's Press Pass first, talk about the things he hit up, including the rebranding of TNA. What am I talking about? Well, we're talking about Scott's Press Pass. That's what we're going to talk about. And in it, there's a few interesting notes that I do want to point out. Obviously they've been talking about this for a bit. I never argued with that. I still believe they've been talking about it for a while, and I think COVID messed up some things. We were going to have that great show. But at the end of the day, I think we can all agree with the buzz that this just generated, that it was the right move. Okay, I said it before, and I maybe said it, bluntly, but I didn't think for whatever reason they had the nuts to do it. And I'm glad they did, because it's not a my opinion over anyone else's. It's what I think the mass amount of people wanted that maybe weren't as vocal about it or didn't feel comfortable standing up and chanting TNA. Even Scott said it in there that there was fans that just didn't chant TNA out of respect at some points. But you knew it was there. If you put your, your finger on the pulse of everything, you could feel it. And one thing that I really loved that he said was about identity. We've talked about that before. What is Impact Wrestling's identity? Solid shows. They got their footing. They got great storytelling, beginning, middle, and end. But what's their identity? The biggest exciting thing for me out of all this, and we'll still hit up everything, is, and I know it's silly, but new entryways, stuff of that nature, and the only idea that I hope everyone is popping in everyone's head. And trust me, I'll embrace whatever it is if it looks good. But I like the brick, but I want a tunnel. Give us back our tunnels. You can even check out the video here where we plead to sell us back our tunnels, Tony. But we got them. I don't know if we have them, but it'd be nice if we had them. That speaks TNA to me. You don't have to do everything else the same. We don't need that old Thunder set. We don't need the big screen. I mean, let's bring in some legacy. Let's bring in some future. But let's really push that vibe of what I said, which is we are the ECW of now. We could be that revolutionary brand. We could throw down that mic and say we're fucking back. Blink. Because that's who we are. We are the misfits. We are the people who, let's just say the marauders. Big Gambit fan. Anyways, we are the fan base that's kind of been forgotten about, and a lot of the fan base that's been ready to be woken up again. And I think we're getting that now under these three initials. So I'm very excited about that. But we have an identity coming. I think the tunnels are part of that, but we'll see. I do argue though with the timing of them saying we were prepared, we okayed it, and we started going full steam ahead since the summer. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that, but that first logo and I don't know, man. That bully promo still gets me. If you watch the last episode, you know what I'm talking about. I just don't feel like this was locked in as they are saying it is. But they definitely pulled the Band-Aid off, and I'm happy regardless. Also loved him talk about not apologizing. Look, we 8-miled this shit. Our name's TNA. We've done that. They've done a great job. Anthem has, Scott and Don, to his credit as well, of not erasing the past, but slowly embracing, slowly pulling those skin layers back to reveal the TNA underneath. And it started with pay-per-view names and different gimmicks and gadgets that he mentioned. Gadgets. Janice. But, to their credit, they have been slowly doing it, and they have been testing the waters, and they have been putting that fire in us. It's just, it was time. And, I think when it's all put together and when they reveal a full and a new production, I don't want to say, it's not a truck. It's a whole room, facility. Hey, the whole facility, and they got that behind them. They got time to put in the effort to have everything look and be a cohesive look. I think they're going to blow it out of the water. So I'm excited for that. He also did mention the 6 sides not coming back. I'm completely okay with that. As a June 19th man, 2002, 4 sides was what we rocked with for a couple of years, man. I always get the dates wrong, but was it a couple, then back and forth, then back and forth? Either way, it's better on the wrestler's body, the 4 sides. It's easier for transitional purposes. You imagine being a storyteller or a dancer, and I'm not going to have a good analogy. I already talked about the stripper. So insert yours here. But my point is that imagine being a vet of something, or even being a journeyman or a rookie that's coming up. Consistency. 4 sides helps. That's my point. Moving on. And then Will Ospreay was the next thing. He said we got to work to get him in a TNA ring. His contract runs up in February, according to Ospreay himself. Ospreay, the recipient of the first 5-star match, him and Bayley, since the Unbreakable 3-way. It's a shame. Angle has no 5 stars. None of this matters. But still cool to be recognized. Means the buzz behind us, they're actually acknowledging us. But Scott saying Will Ospreay in a TNA ring, is that before his contract runs up with New Japan? Is that after? I don't know, man. I think we have a lot of momentum. I think Ospreay is at the peak of his well, at least his prime, and he does have a family, and maybe this is the contract year. So I'm not going to put all the eggs in one basket, but as someone who's going to keep us in their mind down the road, or at least is tempted by the idea of being the person who is another rocket pack to the brand of TNA, the resurgence of TNA. I think for someone who grew up on TNA, who admittedly watched saw AJ for the first time on TNA wrestling and wanted to do that, I think it speaks to something. But I also think he also went to Wembley with us and then left, right? Wasn't that a thing? AJ, I think we talked about that, where AJ recommended him for the UK tour with Damo and I think Jimmy Havoc and stuff, and then they found out he had no interest in signing. He just wanted to wrestle at Wembley in a TNA ring. Hey. But now is now. That's not my point. I'm just saying that you got to. It's also comes into play when we talk about Deanna and stuff later, and PCO and all these people. It's about what the wrestler wants as well. Not what we want, but what we have to offer and what they want. And that matching up. So we're going to talk about a lot of different signings and things. I'm trying not to jump too far ahead, but I was seeing if I had anything else on that Scott Press video. It was 30 minutes. It's worth your time, man. Tom, obviously the voice of TNA Wrestling. It's so cool to say that and not say, oops, wait, sorry, Impact. And them putting out exactly what you would want to hear from someone in charge who just made another name change in the sight of other people. Tom Campbell, Cultaholic, having a cool 5-minute video if you want to watch it. Was it 5-10? I don't know. I watched it all though. Video of the history of the name change, and really made sense and didn't just beat it down. A lot of it makes sense. And I thought one more thing with that and what Scott said, it did make sense to be Impact Wrestling for that time being, to slowly bring it, into the mix again and let the anticipation build. So all around a good video to watch, Tom's and Scott's. All right. With Tom. All right. Anyways. Hey, it's better than last reaction, guys. I'm less manic saying stupid shit, but making the best of it, man. I'm talking to you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. That's what it's all about, as I said before. But let's continue on. I'm trying to see where I want to jump because I wanted to announce next week's episode of what happens, and I see I have it there, and that's why I kind of am lost a little bit. I didn't want to look at spoilers, but I couldn't find next week's show. I do have Turning Points, which is next week as well, so I will mention that really quickly. Motor City Machine Guns taking on Moose and Myers, everybody finding out that Alex Shelley has a extreme pulled leg. Okay. So took him out of action there. That sucks. But hopefully he will be mended and good to go by January. He's got time. Okay. They'll do what's right by him. But either way, Kazarian's stepping in there. And our world champ being injured, unfortunately. Next up after that is Grace versus Danny Luna. I got Kaz versus Rich versus Trey. Looks like an X Division kind of match. Joe Hendry versus Miller. I don't got it here. But someone help me. Is he another Tom? No, he's not. It's Simon. Hey, Simon Miller. More on that later. I'll talk about that when I review Turning Point, because there was a whole social media debacle there with them intentionally, but we'll talk about that when we review Turning Point. Giselle Shaw versus Alex Windsor, and Trinity defending her title against Deanna, which we'll go to a moment. So we talked about Shelley missing Turning Point because of an extremely pulled leg. That sounds, I don't know, does that sound like, I don't know, it like hurt me while saying it, but I guess I don't know if maybe it's just the extremely. Either way, the lot coming out of that UK tour, Leon Slater, which we obviously alluded to, and you can see right there, signing a 19-year-old phenom who, our prodigal son, Mr. Impact Craig, who, guys, if you've been rocking with us, talking bloody nonsense, which needs to come back, man. Craig and Peter Nixon got to meet up at Turning Point. So that was really cool picture to see. Was it at Turning Point? Either way, they met up on the tour, which I thought was awesome. Make sure you go show your love to them in that photo because that's awesome. I think we retweeted it. But Craig got to interview Leon Slater, I think almost a year ago now. And so really cool to see this full circle moment come into fruition. And he's no joke, man. Because of that interview, I went on a little Googling spree. And man, if you guys are more familiar, please lay it on me so I can read them for next comments. And so you guys can do him justice. But a big signing in my eyes as far as what we really need for that TNA feel. You need some vets, which we're talking about with PCO and stuff. But you need some up-and-comers who are at the best at what they do at a young age. And it can only have room to grow, which we've always been good at doing. But this is a great signing that feels right in there. Harley Hudson, also a gut check winner here. If you guys, once again, excuse my, I was going to say ignorance, but it's not ignorance, nescience, because I'm not educated on it. Let me know about Harley Hudson, and then, of course, let me know your opinion on Leon Slater in this signing, because the reaction on Twitter seemed to be pretty good, which is a plus, man. A plus, because these aren't and nothing against Leon Slater, but it's established. He's not a household name. So it's cool to see these ones getting the buzz as well. Speaking of vets coming and going, Heath's contract expires. We kind of saw the writing on the wall. Could he still stay? Yeah, I think it's a possibility. It said he had a contract offer from WWE right after or during COVID or in 2020 at least, but he decided to stay with Impact. Had that really hot first run in there, unfortunately got injured, and then, he came back to a different company, really. But I've always respected Heath's work, and I've said that before. Lucha's even said he could see him as world champ. And I think we all kind of had that vibe to be kind of cool if he completed that 3MB thing right when he first came in, because he had some hype, man. Definitely some namesayers, and maybe I was one of them, but turned me like that. But it's so far ago, I might be pulling it on my ass. But no, he seems like one of those people that I wouldn't have been too familiar with, but pleasantly surprised with. And I remember saying, and I'll continue to say it, it's what do you expect from someone who works for a company for that long? They know what to do. And no matter if Heath was opening the card, was on BTI, was in the crowd fighting, just coming in for, his finisher and running out, he always got that pop. He always knew how to interact with the crowd. He always knew how to get him hyped, no matter what the situation or what feud he was in. So, total pro, man. Always enjoyed his stuff here. And if anyone deserves to go back to the place they got their comeuppance and over, it's Heath, man. So I hope he gets to go back there and enjoy a run back with the E. If not, and he's back on our television, I'm not going to complain. So cool. Cool either way. Wish him nothing but the best. And then someone who weren't they, PCO putting out the stuff about Impact's waiting, or they had a contract together. Then Impact stopped, management kind of came off of it because they were dealing with a bunch of other things. Was it the name change, dealing with that? It was supposedly about, according to PCO, talking to other talents and trying to figure that out, which not seeing too much of that come to fruition. So was conspiracy theorist here, was he always going to re-sign and they was dropping some excitement before Bound for Glory? Was this just how it happened? And as Scott said, they locked it in at Bound for Glory weekend. Yeah, they could have been just being, I don't want to say good management, but hey, sometimes if you have your cards if the wrestler has their cards on the table, you know what they want, you know their options, and you still have other things you got to see if that person fits in the puzzle still. Business is business. Do I like PCO? I do. I think there could be some tweaking of the character to keep him growing. I said this. Creative, are you ready? So stupid. No one watches. But I said if you put him in I know it's a stale, but if you put him in Team Canada or something of that nature where he's a comedic side of PCO, I think we could get over that. Could get over for a little patch too. A monster heel one where he's destroying things and maybe he's controlled by something. There's so many little things you can do to tweak the presentation of PCO where they can get another year, two, whatever out of this. Do I want him to be world champion, winning titles? No, it's nothing against him. But at the same time, if he is the new Monsters Ball guy, or he's the new this, or he's the new that, TNA needs that monster. He fits that. And I think in my mush that I was just trying to say, that the smallest little thing could keep it fresh. And I think they'll find it. You don't re-sign someone with the hopes of, and I'm sure it's not just coming, cheap, but you don't sign someone with that without some kind of plan. Or maybe you do, but I'm going to take the positive spin on that. As far as someone who hasn't re-signed yet, who's getting Ronda Rousey to appear for his promotion, is the brilliant Sami Callihan, who was backstage in AEW. No, I think he fits there. Yeah, sure, why not, right? I think he fits anywhere. I think even what's Killer Cross' name now? Well, that guy was talking about trying to get him the E or whatever. I'm sure he has a lot of sway there. Either way, Sami deserves to be wherever, just like Heath. Deserves to the biggest contract he can get. Deserves to have as much TV time as he can get. And I think behind the scenes could be a very valuable piece for AEW. Could he be a very valuable piece for us? Yes, he was, and he has been. And part of me, this is where the feelings I'm very good at separating, having feelings and analyzing that part, and then just analyzing the other part of that, the business, the strictly analytical side of it. But the analytical side says, with everything with Wrestling Revolver and his branding and his thoughts and his brain and the house show like aspect Wrestling Revolver allows us to have, I thought, not that deal's done, but I think it makes sense to keep him completely. Once again, give him some fire, give him a storyline just like anyone else, and off to the races. The feelings part is the part where I'm having more like he needs to be here. We're back to TNA, and it just doesn't feel right with the first dude who really crossed the line in this new era. Not this new era, but the Anthem era. And he's always been a TNA guy, so I feel like I hope they come to some resolution there, but is it one of those things where we put aside this amount of budget for re-signing? I'm sure there's more, because obviously there's a lot of names coming up, and a lot of names like Heath who have left, for the time being at least. But I just hope that it's not a PCO or Sami thing, because I'd love to have Sami still here, obviously. Last but not least, before we hit your guys' comments, I have CM Punk backstage. He wasn't at Bound for Glory because hockey, which, go Devils, I have no problem with. Do I really believe that someone's got 2 feet in his rah-rah company if he passes up a pay-per-view to go to an opening night of hockey? No, I don't think 2 feet are in. I personally don't think he's coming. And I know I said he seems like the guy who wouldn't be behind a TNA name change. I don't know about that. Maybe it was off the cuff comments, as most of these are. But if he is on board, I'm still excited and would accept that and be behind it. There we go. It's that 20-minute mark, guys. I'm starting to crash. But so either way, I'd still welcome him here. Welcome him here. Supposedly Ace Steel had some great remarks backstage about his work there, so hopefully he steals. He sticks around. I don't know, guys. I feel like we've talked about this, and was he going to be at Bound for Glory? Oh, he's not at Bound for Glory. Okay, are we cool with that? Yeah, we're cool with that. Now everyone's saying, oh, well, he's backstage. Maybe he'll be at Hard to Kill. If he comes, he comes. Do we need him to be the person that spearheads the TNA name rebrand? I don't think so. Do I think he shows up at insert here with WWE? I think so. I think there's too much money on the table there. Booker T says the only place he'll come is if he resurfaces is Impact. I don't know, man. We could debate this, and we've had for weeks and weeks. It almost hurt me to put him in the picture. Obviously, he's right behind Scott, really small. It's not, once again, that I don't want him. I gladly take him. There we go. But I'm just over it. But just see if it happens. You know, Scott said something on that press pass that resonated about, oh, everyone wants to know what happens backstage and know what happens before it happens. And I don't. I have zero interest in knowing. I don't read spoilers. Obviously, I don't even know what happens next week on the show because I want to avoid them. But I'm not going to... I want to take that approach with this as well. Done talking about CM Punk. If he shows up, he shows up. If Cult of Personality hits, hey... Moving on. Let's get on to your guys' comments before the rails completely come off this motherfucker. We are going to get into... thank you guys, by the way. New people giving this a chance. Old friends still rocking with us. Or people popping back in. Thank you. Make sure hit like. Make sure hit subscribe if you haven't already. And check out everything else on this channel. Give them a chance because... I am not a representation of everyone on here. But also, if you don't like what I'm saying or my voice or my opinions, and you just still want to represent Impact or get behind the brand TNA, there are plenty of Impact Wrestling podcasts out there. Go check them out. Support them. Find a group within the group and keep expanding it, guys. Let's keep this thing going. But let's move on to your comments. There we go. Our buddy Chris Saletta. Leon Slater is in. Heath is out. Looks like, comma. Speedball Ospreay was a banger. Agreed. Don't see him returning to Jacksonville. And the minute I saw that lockbox and who was featured, there was a feeling there it could be, and now it is. Solid episode, gentlemen. Thank you. Bound for Glory was solid. You guys really stuck to your guns about those 3 letters and coming back. So I find it interesting. So I find it interesting Deanna's on the headliner going into 2024. We'll see what her future entails. PCO sticking around. Chris giving us all the news updates, man. He should do it. He get it out better than I can. Thank you, Chris, buddy. I always appreciate you. Yeah, Deanna on the headliner there. Still in 2024. And I kind of made a mention of that about, her sticking around. We'll talk about that because I know there's comments that hit it. But I thought that was interesting. The one thing I didn't mention... that was kind of newer out of the Impact episode this week was the reaction of the crew reacting to the TNA name. Everyone cheering and excited, Deanna included. The only person that I noticed not clapping? Macklin. Macklin just sitting there. Moose even cheesing. What a cool moment. But yes, interesting pickup. Chris, we'll talk about Deanna. And anything else in there I wanted to... Speedball Ospreay, yes. I don't think he's going to Jacksonville. No, I think for Ospreay, it's ear here in Japan, some kind of deal. I really think that. Well, who am I? Comment to our buddy Millar. Geoff, do you think we'll get anyone joining Impact from the UK tour? So this was obviously prior to Leon's announcement. I know they're having gut check tryouts. Harley Hudson, once again, guys, let me know. I think that subculture is already assigned, my opinion. There's a lot of untapped, unsigned talent wrestling in the UK. Leon Slater, Alex Windsor, who got a match there against Giselle. Luke Jacobs, Michael Aku, I don't want to pronounce these wrong. Millie McKenzie and Wild Boar. Millie McKenzie, that sounds familiar. Craig do an interview with her as well? You might have. Yeah, great eye for talent. You're always dropping nuggets of things I should look out for before... they happen, so thank you, Millard, on that. And yeah, you're right, Leon Slater, Alex Windsor, is that the girlfriend, wife of Ospreay? Once again, someone let me know. As I said before, Nessie into UK talent, unfortunately, except the ones that I've went and scouted intentionally. So let me know. But yeah, I love that we're in the UK. We'll obviously have more on that when we talk about Turning Point in this week's episode. But it was always a hot market for wrestling, and it was always a very hot market for TNA. And there was a point where we all thought that could be our home base, and we would have applauded it. But at the end of the day, the fact that we're still popular there, and rebuilding that relationship, and it seems well. You got Canada, you got the U.S., and now we're doing representing the Lucha Libre thing with AAA. It's just a lot of good synergy here for Impact, and it's great that part of it is because of the UK tour. Lord, again, I'm glad that PCO is the first signing by the revamped TNA. So excited for that. Cool. Can't wait to see who's next. I hope that it is Deonna. I know that Hard to Kill is going to have a big name or names coming in for the first new TNA shows. Yeah, I don't know what they'll work out, if there's going to be some cool stuff. Once again, with the CM Punk thing, I just kind of want to see it play out. As far as picking up the breadcrumbs and kind of getting a vibe of what could happen, I don't know what the relationships are like with everyone else, but I just can't see why not, or why Tony wouldn't allow Chris Daniels to come back, at least for the first one, right? Come out, put an Angel's wings on Angels. Be a good time. I'm excited to see what happens. No spoilers here, guys. Hopefully the first one could be live. That would be dope. I don't know if they've already announced that it's not, but that would be cool. Either way, looking forward to Hard to Kill. And as far as Deonna, I think there's a lot that goes into it and that we talked about. I, of course, hope it's Deonna. I love Deonna. Walk, talks, look, acts, everything is a star. Represents like a star. Her contract, obviously was rolled out or rolled in. When I don't know how to explain it. Who am I? But running up at the end of the year, you could see by the booking that it's just kind of keep her in the thick of, not the thick of things, but on people's tongue, I guess. Not that her work doesn't do that on her own, but it just feels like we're keeping her until we figure out where she goes. But if I had to guess, man, I'm leaning towards leaving. If you're going to take a chance on yourself and say all the reasons I didn't succeed in the E are now gone, if maybe that's in your head, then why wouldn't you try one last time? I mean, Gail did it, and we still love Gail. But move on. Next up, Demon Better 99. I was looking forward to this week's Impact, and we got an entire episode just recapping Bound for Glory, which was very disappointing. Saw a few people upset about spending their money and then them just doing the recap. I mean, they recapped the Hall of Fame, and they showed some clips of the matches. I don't know. Seems like low-hanging fruit, but I understand. I would understand if there was a big debut, big storyline, or some sort of heel turn, but we got none of that, so there was no point in recapping Bound for Glory to that extent. I'm indifferent. Joking aside, as far as the resentment thing and needing a break, I think there was two ways you go out of Bound for Glory. One, obviously, we would love for them just to hit it out of the park the next night or next episode after revealing. I think TNA was a big announcement. But, I think there were a lot of great matches. I think there was a lot of great buzz. And it did weird me. It took me by surprise as well. So, I don't know. The only thing I could think of was, remember after Slammiversary, we had that big, I think it was that pay-per-view that everyone was excited about, and then they put out a total stinker the next night, and you could tell it didn't have time to get the production on it or the little pieces that we're used to with Impact. And maybe that's what they wanted to steer away from here. Maybe they weren't ready, but doesn't really make too much. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to put a final polish on it and give it for us time to breathe, let the buzz build, and lead with their best effort going forward next week. But it was a decision that took me by surprise, and I think there were big moments. Yes, no heel turns, none of that stuff, but there were big-time matches. There was big-time announcement at the end. So, and then the Hall of Fame as well, which, if you didn't watch the pre-show, I don't know. I'm okay with it, but I get your point. And they re-signed PCO. Of all the talents out there that fans want to re-sign, like Deonna, they re-signed a wrestler most Impact fans don't even talk about. And speaking of Deonna, even with the losing she has had to do this year, she is still ranked higher than every knockout in that PW Women's 250. Impressive. Demon Better, you let your negativity get in the way of your intelligence. Look, the PCO thing, it's not, once again, is it a matter of this person? Then you have a debate. Is them re-signing PCO going to stop them from signing Deonna or plan on signing Deonna? I would imagine they put Deonna higher on that pedestal. Let's be real here. At the same time, Deonna has to make her own decision. It's not like Impact's like, yes, I will sign Deonna. But at this price, at this time, and she will say yes no matter what. I don't know. I just don't know why people think the world's like that. Do people just sign you to a job that you go to interview for? No, you feel them out as well. So I don't like that thought process. Because of course they would love to sign Deanna. Of course they would want to give her a winning record if they knew she was re-signing. So there's more to it. And as far as the PWI Women's 250, it's just like the 5-star rating and to the Nielsen rating to me, I could give two shits. Now, is that mean something to the other fans out there? And maybe you, yes. Do I think it's weird that she's ranked higher than all the other of our knockouts when it's from July 2022 to July 2023? No, I think Deanna won a championship or two, right? She was prominent in the storyline. How big of she's always on every header and every newsletter and every cover for Impact advertisement. So I think there's a lot of things that go into that PW Women's 250, and it's not like Impact saying, she's the highest, let's not re-sign her. I don't know. But, I get it. Of course we want Deanna, so I understand your angst. Next up, Sky's Blur. Not having the KO tag titles match at BFG after they promoted is something WWE probably should have just not even announced it. I don't think that's how it works. I think they had intent to do it, and then one reason or another time, as they said before, maybe that's the issue. I do think they needed a heel turn, whether it be Mickey, Josh, or Alex. It just seemed flat. Okay, good wrestling, but I understand that. I was expecting something like that as well. As far as the name change, it's all about what they are going to do with it will be and how it will be different from WWE and AEW. That is how fans will look at it. Excuse my inability to read. But yeah, what we do different, I think we've always done something different. It doesn't need to be a completely different, product. I think it just needs to have personality, and I think we already have that, but I think this helps people tune into that and understand that and want to be part of it. Lucky Charm saying, I think KO tag title was cut due to timing, which happens because they usually don't do something like that. I was hoping for MJ heel turn, but if she stays with TNA, hopefully we can get one last heel run. I agree with you guys there. Sorry, guys, I'm going to speed through some of these if I already hit them. And make sure you comment next time. I promise to go through each and every one as I am here, but I do want to keep the time still. Make it sense. Hey, everybody, Gary. I agree with Geoff and Lucha as far as the name change. I am interested in seeing how TNA does with Scott D'Amore and Lou D'Angeli. Couple of D's. Never realized that. Running, it should be great with the talent behind this rebranding. I agree. That's my Sting for you. Happy retirement, Sting. Philly King TNA. Yeah, see, that's all that matters. Thumbs up and heart from me. Because that's what matters. It does matter what they do between, the 88 minutes of television, 92, whatever it is going to be. The product does matter. But those initials, that's what it's about, man. It's the energy. All right. Lucky Charm again on the topic of Mickie James. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I hope she stays in TNA and not go back to WWE. Not unpopular with me. Regardless of her husband being there now, why fix something that's not broken? Tina has been good to her from beginning, Alexis 3 all the way to now. After her last WWE run, I do not trust them with her. Would love one more heel run for her to be there when she truly does retire. Her heel run as a KO champion in 2003 was great to me. Yeah, I love that. But not long enough. Agree as well. Not to mention she's still a huge draw for KO division, and they should try to keep her. Would be cool to see her work with Gail as well if she does retire there. Yeah, all great points. I agree with you. We don't have to convince each other. I think you have to convince Mickie. You have to convince Impact to meet in the middle there. And you have to, once again, it's up to Mickie at the end of the day. I don't think her husband being somewhere makes her say, I'm going to go back somewhere. But it is a different playing field, and we do have to remember that. This isn't the same. It's not the same people in charge. The company's looked at differently. It's treated like differently. And if there's any people with the little inkling of wanting to, what's the E doing? If you think they were thinking about it when Vince was there, they're sure as hell thinking about it even more now that he's not, as far as creative. So we'll see. But of course, I'd love her to stick around. And I thought a heel turn was coming, so maybe it will. But she is also on the header for 2024 and Impact or TNA. Last one here, Brooklyn Bleak. welcome back. I know that'll never happen, but what if CM Punk led an invasion of Impact into AEW? Would you be interested? Or Ospreay signs with Impact, becomes champ, and that sets up Forbidden Door pay-per-view between Impact and AEW with Omega versus Ospreay in a possible champion versus champion main event. Just bullshitting. It's okay. I just talk nonsense and out my ass. So I appreciate that, and it's a fun one. We used to do like cliffhangers here where we lay questions like that and let you guys answer. So why don't you answer that for us as well, guys? What would you prefer of the two if we could have either or? For me personally, and this isn't a resentment or a holding feelings over analytics and thought, because if the money's there, if the pop is there, if the attention's there and the good rub is there, I'm all for it. But the feelings mixed with that analytical says, I don't know, man. I want to touch AEW branding with the 10-foot pole. I wouldn't. I'm not saying anything negative. Pro wrestling. They do them. I hope they continue to strive for better. But I think TNA has buzz. I think the first mistake they can make is doing something like that. I just don't see the benefit of... Yeah, I just don't... I don't see... It's just like, to me, it's like, I don't know if this is a bad analogy, but probably is. But it's like a GameStop in its height, like, or not in its height, but a GameStop like merging with Circuit City. You know, it's like, oh, Circuit City was big, and but I don't know. Does that make sense? Does anything I say make sense? I don't know. Either way, I would rather do our own, stay in our lane, and if the right opportunity comes along to play in the sandbox and it makes sense, let's do it. Like I said, CM Punk leading an invasion of Impact. If CM Punk comes, cool. I love invasion angles. I think there's a lot of things you could do with that, with the Christopher Daniels of the world and Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay and Jay Lethal. There's some people there that obviously TNA, former TNAers, so you can work that in. And then Ospreay, I would, if I had to choose between CM Punk or Ospreay, I'd go Ospreay. And is he as big a name, household name? No, but I think he probably costs 5 times less at least, and can bring you 5-star matches and a lot of rub with people who wouldn't give you the time of day normally. And I think CM Punk, even though he would still boost or whatever, it's about everything adding up. Money to feedback to what he actually brings to the table. So if I had to choose between the two, it'd be that. As far as the Forbidden Door thing, I don't want Omega having our belt again. And I know that's nothing against Omega, but we've had it before and it really didn't do what I think a lot of people thought it would do. So let's start building our own thing. Let's start doing what we do and they'll do their thing. Is that the song? I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you for all your comments. Please hit us up. Sorry about the length and the catastrophe that is this show. But I thank you for rocking with me. Everyone who watches this. Everyone. Thank you, guys. Make sure to hit like. Make sure to hit subscribe. Check out LO TNA this week for TNA Game, the Ballad of Lloyd Boner, where we name some really stupid names. We're all assholes in costumes. It's a good time. Have a laugh at us. Laugh at ourselves. Enjoy it. And then we'll be back in the thick of things, starting with Sunday's Turning Point review. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it hopefully live. Either way, guys, we'll figure it out. Thank you. I appreciate you. Keep spreading the word. TNA, TNA, TNA. Thank you for coming out. God bless and good night. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.